No, I'm kidding. Not true. I didn't take that off the tape. Right. It's until death do us part. What is that saying? It's not saying let things stay bad and get bad and just gut it out and that's what marriages do and if not, God's going to kill you. That's not the message. That's not the message. It's just saying that we have come to a place, now listen closely, this is the thesis of this message. We've come to a place where it's not working. And no one's going to say it's working. It's not working, right? And could it be that it's not working because we have defined our relationships on a different set of terms? It's lost its permanency. I started this journey about a year and a half ago I got stirred up by this concept of I think relationships are defined on the wrong terms. And every time they're defined on the right terms, they work better. Power comes inside of them. This supernatural thing takes place that makes them work. And I've become convinced that the secret is in this covenant concept, that today we don't have a covenant concept. I'm going to define what that looks like. If you like taking notes, I've got a lot of good content for you to write down here in a moment. But to understand covenant, what does that really mean? And honestly, the Lord set me up to hear this because at the same time I was reading this new translation, I thought, oh, that makes sense. At the exact same time, I got involved in a marriage counseling case at our church. And I don't really do, I may do like one a year. And honestly, I do it just to kind of keep me in touch with, I'm actually discipling a new believer right now. I like to do things like that because you end up running these large churches and have this big staff and all that's great. But I like to just get right down where it is, and just anyway. So I do that intentionally. And I got involved in this couple's marriage who, they had scriptural grounds for divorce, and honestly, she had messed up really, really badly, and he wanted out, bad. He wanted out, and he had the grounds, and even I'm thinking at this point, this is not going to work. This can't happen. And so I counseled him a little bit, and it really didn't go anywhere. And we were standing up and getting ready to leave, and he goes, hey, I got a question for you. I just got a little question I want to ask you on another subject. I said, yeah, what's up? He goes, I've got a brother who is really messed up. I mean, like he's been on drugs his whole life, and he's really messed up. And man, do you guys have any programs here at Highlands that helps people get off of drugs? And I said, well, yeah, actually we have about 60 small groups that just help people with addictions and habits like that, and with a lot of success. And I said, why do you, and I'm sitting there thinking, as he's talking to me about his brother, he's talking about how he's been financially supporting his brother his whole life, 30, 40 years now, and I'm sitting there thinking about it. I'm like, and it dawns on me how faithful he is to his brother. I'm like, and his brother honestly had done way more than his wife. His wife's incident was just like it was a one-time deal. She really messed up, but this was 30 years of abuse, taking his money, going to drugs, prison, all this kind of stuff. And so I said to him, why are you so faithful to your brother and you're ready just cash her in, man? You consider this so disposable. And he said, he looked at me and rolled his eyes like, are you dumb or something? He went, he's blood. He's the blood. He had a different level of responsibility to him because he considered his brother a blood relative. He's blood. This guy's blood. It's the same way you would probably feel toward your children. Your children could go way off the deep end, and you will spend the rest of your life hunting them down, bringing them in. And if they ever came back, it'd be arms open wide. Am I right? Why? Because they're blood. Do you know that the word covenant means to cut? It signifies a blood relationship. In fact, in the old days, they actually married by cutting, and they'd put their hands together and let their blood mingle with each other. Actually, the priest would tie their wrists together, and they would let the blood mingle. Of course, it doesn't work that way, but they were trying to signify the fact that this has a level of permanency. Permanency. I make the case now, I'm fully convinced. I did a 6-week series on covenant in our church last year, and I've become convinced that we have a contractual mindset in America now. In fact, we have a contractual mindset in the world. Did you know in the Muslim countries, in many Muslim countries, the man actually keeps the marriage license in his pocket, in his front, showing. And at any point he wants to be done, all he has to do is, this is the divorce proceedings. Front, that's it. So he kind of leaves it there as a, you better cheat. Did you know that some countries, listen to this, in some countries of the world right now, Mexico is one of them, they are considering term limits on marriage licenses. It's kind of like a hunting license. So like if you don't renew it, you are divorced. You have to go back and get another one. They're considering, check this out, a 2-year term limit on marriage licenses. It has to be renewed or it's over. Are y'all listening to me out there? I'm telling you, we got an issue. Reminds me of a story we tell in South Louisiana. Can y'all handle one Boudreaux joke while I'm here, huh? Y'all know me and your pastor are from South Louisiana, and we tell stories. That's what we do. You know, Cajuns tell stories. And Boudreaux and Marie got married back before there were cars, and Marie happened to have a horse-drawn carriage, so they used her horse-drawn carriage to get to their honeymoon. And so Boudreaux gets in, and Marie goes, "Heck, let's go!" And that mule didn't go anywhere. I mean, nowhere. So she got off, and she looked that mule in the face and said, "That's one." She got back in, and that mule took off, and after a while, that mule just stopped dead in the middle of the road. And she couldn't get it to go, and she got off, and she went up to that mule and said, "That's two." She got back in, and that mule took off again, and sure enough, he just stopped middle of the road. She got off, pulled out a revolver, boom, blew that mule's head off. And Boudreaux said, "Marie, are you crazy, lady? Now we're going to have to walk to the honeymoon." And she said, "Boudreaux, that's one." How many of y'all know they lived happily ever after, right? I think so too. All right, let's get to work. That's funny. I don't care what y'all say. That's funny. All right, let's get to work. You ready to work? We have just a few minutes together. Let me define this thing for you, what it means. Jesus said, "This is the new covenant in my blood." He took his level of relationship to another level, and we need to do the same. You can write down 2 sentences just to define it if you like to take notes. The first is, a contract is where we protect our rights, and limit our responsibilities. That's a contract. Man, I want to make sure I'm covered. I want to make sure I have all the benefits of the relationship without the responsibility. I want to keep my lifestyle, and I want to make sure that I have a backup plan if you ever mess me over. That's a contract. Covenant is the very opposite of that. Write this down if you're taking notes, and that is we give up rights and we pick up responsibilities. We give up rights, and this almost sounds un-American. Man, we fight for our rights. Man, we become a litigious kind of society where, man, we'll sue the dog out of you, mess me over at all. We've gotten this wrong mindset. And so basically, I want to give you 2 different lists. I want to give you the rights we give up and the responsibilities we take up. And just let you have these. You think about them. And here's how I want you to listen to this message, all right? And that is, I want to dare you to apply these concepts to any and every relationship. This goes for your church. This goes for your marriage. This goes for your children. This goes for your friends. I did a whole message called Covenant. We did a message called Covenant Friends. I mean, having a new loyalty there for when things get tough. When this works, listen to this, ready for this? This is how God defines his relationship with you. And this is the relationship he's offering. Rights we give up. Jot these down. Here's the first one. And by the way, I had a text, guys, you're running the stuff. We're not going to have time to read, but both of these are backed up with two of the most beautiful texts in the Old Testament and New Testament is the first marriage. You go study it yourself. I'll reference it, but in Genesis, when God establishes, Genesis chapter 2, when he establishes the first relationship, Adam and Eve. And then, of course, the second in the New Testament is Paul's understanding and writing on the marriage in Ephesians chapter 5. Go study those on your own. But for the sake of time, let me just give you what those 2 texts say, because Genesis 2 tells you what we give up, And then Ephesians 5 tells us what we take up in order to have a covenant relationship. What do we give up? Here's the first thing that we give up, and that is priority. Write that word down, priority. Priority. If you remember, in Genesis 2 says, a man will leave the most important relationship in his life up to that point, father and mother, and be united to his wife. Priority means I give you the right to be the first, to have first place in my life. And I will protect that place against anything that you perceive as competition to it. In other words, I'm going to communicate to you that you're first. Let me just say to you, for any relationship to work, it has to have the understanding of priority, that you've got to make it a priority. As the Lord would say, no other gods before me. He doesn't mind you having loves, but God does not want to be on your list. He's not going to be your Sunday God. If he's not first, he ain't on there at all. I got news for you if you think he is, all right? He doesn't take any other place, and there is no relationship that works until we get it to a place where we understand that I'm going to give you that place of priority. One of the ways that I learned how to demonstrate this to my wife is I actually learned this in a parenting course that she and I took years ago, where they talked about basically the fact that most homes are child-centered homes, meaning the schedule's around the kids, the money's around the kids, the time's around the kids, everything's around the kids. Kids first, kids first. Most people choose their church based on what the kids like. It's a child-centered home. And he said, look, you got to make the marriage the priority, and the kids will actually see that as the strongest thing you could ever give them. It's the greatest gift. And they said one of the ways you can do that is even in the exchange of gifts, even on Christmas. Oh, the kids getting their tear in. Let your wife open hers first. You open yours first. Let them see you too. When you come home from a trip, which I always bring a prize on trips like this. I got a little something in my little backpack for my kids. But if I'm going to do that, I always got something for Tammy too. Come on, ladies. I'm helping you out right here, all right?